So if you've worked with ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or any of these LLMs out there, I'm sure you've had one of those scenarios where you've typed something into the AI and the results, you wish they could be better. In this video, I'm going to share a 7-component framework that you can apply to your prompts to go from simple prompt all the way to stronger prompt. But before I do so, make sure to subscribe to this video if you want to plug yourself into some shortcuts on AI for productivity and creativity. So on my screen here, I've already done the work so we don't waste time loading up the responses. But in this prompt, it's a very common way to speak to the AI. You just tell it to do something, and then maybe you might give it some extra instructions like give some main features to include. So it goes about giving a couple of main features in a list of what it should include, and then it tells you how it would flow. So the overall response here from a foundational point of view is not that bad. So in this 7-step framework, it's all about breaking down your prompt into different sections so that you're essentially feeding the AI very specific instructions per section and giving more additional information and context for the AI to use. While there isn't any specific name to this, most experts in prompt engineering do say by including these things into your prompt, you can get much better nuanced results. So we'll first start off with the first component, which is what I call the role. So the role is specifying to the AI who you want it to be or what kind of expertise it should adopt. So once again, you're always giving the instruction to the AI to take on some type of persona out there. You always want to try to give some sort of role to your AI, and this can help the AI to think in that persona moving forward. The next component to this is the format. Make sure to indicate what kind of format you want the AI's output to look like. This is super important, and while it is a little bit more tedious, this is super important because this is what helps the AI to customize its output in a way that's fit for your workflow or perhaps your way of digesting information. So by giving this initial instruction of how you want the output to be formatted, it'll clear up a lot of things instead of getting lists or chunks of text from your output. After that, you probably want to give it some constraints. So oftentimes I see many people not actually giving its constraints to the AI. In fact, they give the constraints later on after they realize that the responses that they're getting is not doing its job. So from the very beginning, you want to include some constraints in your response and tell the AI things it should do and what it should not do. Be very specific at this point in time, because the more specific you are in your constraints, the better the AI will be in giving you a better response. Next is the logic. So logic here means telling the AI to explain its reasoning for why it's done or suggested something to you. So you always want to question the AI and get it to actually explain its reasoning instead of just simply taking in what it's given. Because the more you force it to actually reason with itself, the better its output will be. And then we move into something called the stop conditions. So stop conditions are when you should tell the AI to conclude its answer, because sometimes, especially with a lot of LLMs, they try to give you a bunch of text to fulfill its quota. And what can happen from this is that often it ends up adding extra fluff text that you don't really need. If you specify when the AI should actually stop giving you a response or stop giving you all of this extra information, then it will help to actually constrain its responses to the things that matter. Then you have the context. Context is where you fill additional information about your task, whether that be who you're targeting, why you're doing this specific task for, and just give more information to the AI so it can understand what's being done here. And then finally, we have the task. This is what you want the AI to do. This is the directive that you're telling the AI to do. Now, there is no single correct answer and what the ordering should be. But if you do put the directive or the task at the end of your entire prompt, then it can actually help improve the clarity and performance of your output. Oftentimes I see people using the task at the very beginning and then giving all of this additional context near the end. But now the AI has this additional information that it's going to be looking through, and then it might actually end up losing track of what the actual task is, especially if your prompt is very well fleshed out. I do recommend putting the task at the end of the prompt to close everything off and say, hey, here's all of this information, this is who you are, this is the constraints I want, and so on, and this is what I want you to do. That way the AI won't get confused at the additional information that you've put into the prompt. So what I've done is I've taken this simple prompt and I'm breaking this down into the 7 components. So now I have the role, and so I try to give it a specific role. And you can usually start this off by saying act as a, or assume the persona of a, and so on. And so here I say act as a SaaS founder who has successfully launched multiple productivity apps for freelancers. So now I'm giving in this specific role. And then the format I want to do is I will make it present your response as a step-by-step product roadmap. This is a keyword to keep in mind in your prompts when you want things to be laid out, because if you ask the AI to give things in a step-by-step manner, it'll do a better job to really think through each output that it's giving. And so in this format, I ask it to give it key features, the user journey, and the milestone table. And then here I give it the constraints. I specify what things it should avoid doing, assume that the users have little to no coding experience, and only include features that can be built and launched on a tight budget. So these are the constraints that I give when it comes to building this app. And then you have the logic, and what I tell here is try to briefly explain how it addresses a core pain point for freelancers. So for every feature that it gives, I want an explanation as to why it gave me that feature. Because if you see the simple prompt, it's just giving me a bunch of features, but if I were just creating an app from the get-go, I may not know what feature is important. And then you have the context, which I'm going to give additional context on what kind of user base that I'm targeting, as well as what kind of competitors that exist out there, to give that additional context to the AI so it knows how to go about building this app. And once here, I wrote down the app must be simple to market, fast to build, and budget conscious. And so that reinforces the constraints that I give in terms of being loused on a tight budget. And then finally, I put the task here to close out that prompt. These are all the things that I want you to take in mind. And then finally, here's what you need to do. So your task is now to design a wireframe and feature plan. So you see now the results are going to be a lot more fleshed out with each specific feature. Now it's giving me, okay, what are the key components that I need to know for those features? And then for the MVP features, it's going to actually tell me what pain point does this specific feature solve. So you'll notice here, it's only listed out 6 features, while in the very simple prompt, it's actually listed out many more without really telling me why I need to do this feature or the other. But here, it's actually chosen 6 of the features, and it's telling me this feature is important because it solves this pain point for the user, and then it tells me what the feature it would be. And then it goes into the user journeys, and it tries to list out what the user journey would look like when it comes to tracking hours or creating an invoice step by step, so I can get in the mind of a user. This is the 7 essentials in building a strong functional prompt. It's going to help you organize your output in a cleaner fashion, and by doing so will help with faster digestion of the information as well as faster validation of the results that come out. You don't want to get a long list of text that you need to decipher through. So that was really about it. If you enjoyed what you watched, make sure to like this video, leave a comment down below and what more you'd like to see in terms of understanding how to write better prompts. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you'd like to plug yourself into AI for better productivity and creativity.